First rounds through the Taurus G3c. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we are going to look at the Taurus G3c pistol. Now, if you haven't been following Taurus closely for the past few years, they have been making some really nice pistols. Before we get started, of course, I need to thank the Tiberious tribe who supports me on Patreon. Also, need to let you guys know that I will no longer be having any channel sponsors. It's nothing to do with those channel sponsors specifically. I still will be rocking M2 tactical holsters, still use Howling Beard Care products every day, still use Breakthrough Cleans to clean my firearms. I still have my Big Daddy Unlimited account, so don't think it's a negative reflection on those companies in any way, shape, or form. In the beginning of every video, I also need to disclose to you, ladies and gentlemen, that I do work in the firearms industry. I work in sales for Enforce. In no way will that change, affect, assist this review in any way, but I do need to let you know that. Also need to let you know that Taurus did send this pistol out for a review free of charge. At the end of this review, I do need to send it back to them. Again, I will be as objective as possible, not let that affect this review, and I guarantee you I will still give you the pros and cons as honestly as possible. As always, let's start at the bottom and we can work our way up. Now, these magazines are actually pretty impressive. They're metal magazines. Also keep in mind this is a sub $300 gun. If you don't know, super affordable gun. So 1 magazine, 2 magazines, 3 magazines. So this pistol, sub $300, and it gets you 3 magazines. So that's kind of cool. Another nice thing, it holds 12 rounds of 9mm. Most subcompact pistols are either twice the price or their magazines hold a few less rounds. So I was very impressed at the magazine capacity. The grip on this guy, it depends on what portion of the grip. I either love it or I hate it. The bottom part of the grip has a very aggressive sandpaper texture, kind of somewhat similar to the M&P 2.0, and I love that. That's like my favorite type of grip texture. That's great. The thing I don't like is the upper part of the grip here, where the thumb cutout is super slick polymer, and I say it all the time, I just hate the way slick polymer feels. I don't know what it is about it, I just don't like it. So if this was my pistol and I was keeping it, I'd probably throw a set of Talon grips on there just to even out that grip. Sliding on up to the magazine release. The mag release is pretty decent. It's a little on the small side, but on a smaller gun, it's kind of to be expected. It has a light texture on it as well. It is reversible for you lefties, but it's not ambi, which is how I personally like the mag release to be set up. And it absolutely drops those magazines. When you hit that button, they fly right out. So you shouldn't have any problems with the magazines getting hung up. The trigger on the gun overall is pretty good, actually. It does have a long take-up. The initial take-up is kind of long. The wall and the break is pretty good, actually. It breaks, if I had to guess, around 4.5 to 5 pounds on my trigger finger meter here. The reset is actually really good. It does have a pretty short reset, so if you ride that reset under recoil and you don't bring your trigger finger all the way off, it's actually a really good trigger to ride that reset. You guys shouldn't be slapping the trigger anyway. Don't slap the trigger. There's only one thing you guys should be slapping. Now, one of the more unique features this trigger has is the double strike capabilities. So as far as malfunctions. I think if I'm shooting and I get a click, I wouldn't probably pull that trigger again to see if it's just a light primer strike or if it's bad ammunition. I want to know your guys' opinion on this. What I would be worried about, I'd be like, oh, light primer strike, light primer strike, light primer strike, and then all of a sudden I'm dead. I think it's better to be safe to tap the bottom of the magazine to make sure it's seated, rack that slide to get that bad round out of there, and then try to go back to work. But what's your opinion? What do you think? Drop it down in the comments below. One thing I do like about the double strike capabilities is how it assists you in dry fire. Most guns, you pull the trigger, rack the slide. Pull the trigger, rack the slide. With this one, you can shoot, 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 and it's a great gun to dry fire because of the double strike capabilities. It does have an accessory rail out here in the front. It's a very, very small accessory rail, so not too many lights are going to fit it. So you have to try maybe that little tiny Olight micro adjustable ratcheting one. That probably is going to be the only one, but you'll have to look that up online. This gun does have an external safety. It is not available without the safety. So while the safety is very nicely done, it's in a good spot, it has good tension, there's no issues. I'm not a huge fan of safeties on my guns. I don't carry a gun with a safety. It's just not something I'm concerned about. So I kind of wish they made this gun with and without a safety. That would be a nice option. I do understand why it's on there, being it is a budget-minded pistol. It's probably geared towards a lot of new shooters. So I understand why it's on there. Just personally, I don't really care for safeties on guns unless I'm carrying like a 1911 or a 2011 or something. Now, I did read online that there were some safety concerns with this safety. Some of the people were saying if you stage the trigger halfway, put the safety on, you can still pull the trigger, which I don't know how that scenario would ever play out in real world, but, you know, they said that was an issue. So we did try it. First we tried it unloaded, and then we went to the range, pointed it at the berm, loaded it up, staged the trigger, put the safety on, and that trigger is dead. It does not work. So I don't know if it was someone had a problem with one of theirs, or they were just doing something wrong, or an older version had that safety concern and this one doesn't. I have no idea, but I did read it, so I wanted to test it and see if it was an issue, and it's not on this particular pistol. Next up, let's talk about the slide release. If you guys have ever seen any of my pistol videos, I am a self-proclaimed slide release snob. I use it as an actual release, not just a slide stop. Some people do, some people don't, whatever. This slide release is stiff. Very, very stiff. So I don't know if it will loosen up as time goes on or how much it will loosen up. I'm sure it will. You can use it as a slide release, but you gotta put some effort into it if you choose to use it as a slide release. Both the slide release and the safety are not ambi. They're not on the left side, on the right side of the gun, just on the left side of the gun for you right-handed shooters. Sliding on up in front of that, on both sides of the gun, it does have this memory notch, I'll call it. It's a spot to put your trigger finger. Just a nice little reminder of where your trigger finger should be when you're not shooting. Now moving on up to the slide, Taurus made quite a few changes on this slide compared to their previous G2c model. The most noticeable one is the front slide serrations, and they're pretty good for you to do your press checks or whatever if you use front slide serrations. Also, the finish is very different as well. It has a tinifer, however you say it, finish, and that should definitely hold up a lot better than the G2c. If you look at anybody's G2c that has been in and out of the holsters a lot, you'll see a ton of holster wear, where that should not happen with the G3c. The sights are very, very interesting. I think Taurus knocked it out of the park with the sights for a couple of reasons. One, the front sight is just a white dot. The rear sight is blacked out and has some serration. So I like, a blacked out rear sight with a white or a colorful, bright front sight. The reason I think they knocked it out of the park, though, is one, they're metal sights. They're not polymer sights, which is great. And they also take Glock sights. So if you don't like these sights, if you want to change them out, absolutely positively no big deal. And there is so many different Glock sight options out there that you can get, so it'll be very, very easy to change these sights out if you don't like them. Now, taking this gun apart is also very, very Glock-esque. What we're going to do is we're going to slightly pull back on the slide, and then on each side of the pistol there's these takedown levers right here. We're just going to pull down on those takedown levers. So pull to the rear, pull down on the takedown levers. Then we'll pull the trigger and the slide comes right off. Now your barrel is 3.2 inches. So it is a smaller barrel, but obviously this is a small subcompact pistol or micro compact. Your recoil spring is a dual captured recoil spring and guide rod. And then inside the pistol, it's fairly standard for a striker fired gun. Now there are some tool marks in there. Please don't expect it to be finished as nicely as a super high-end fill in the blank staccato or even CZ or HK for that matter. Again, keep in mind this is a sub $300 pistol. It's really dirty is the main thing I noticed. Now I shot this thing quite a bit. The reason I did so was I know Taurus has been making some really good pistols lately and they're getting a lot of really good reviews, but I do not have a ton of experience with Taurus pistols. I've shot them here and there, but I've never done any long-term testing. And being in the past, I have had some quality issues. I want to give this thing a really good test. So I finished up somewhere around 700 to 800 rounds is how many rounds I put through this, and I had zero malfunctions. I mean zero. Not one stovepipe, failure to feed, failure to eject, whatever malfunction you want to talk about. I definitely did not have any of those. So this particular one, A+ for reliability. Anyway, putting this thing back together, we're going to put the barrel back in, we'll put the recoil spring back in, and then we will slide it back on the frame. Next, we're going to talk about dimensions. So we'll throw the dimensions up here on the screen. It is very close to a, I'm going to say Glock 26 size gun, so we'll compare that. I know it's a little bit smaller, but it's very close to that size. And again, you get the 12 rounds with the G3C, where most Glock 26 type guns or VP9 SK guns only hold 10 rounds. But the biggest win is obviously going to be the price. And getting into pros, that is obviously my biggest pro. The price and what you get for the money is absolutely fantastic. The capacity for the size is great. 12+1 for a gun this size, under 300 bucks. That's an absolute total win. The textured part of the grip is very good, feels great. I love that sandpaper texture. The sights are excellent. I love that they're metal. I love that you can swap them out with Glock sights. That is great. The trigger for dry firing with the double strike capabilities, that is really good. And just the trigger in general is actually a really good trigger. Especially again for a gun that's sub $300. Last pro I have is going to be the lifetime warranty. I love that Taurus backs up a affordable pistol with a lifetime warranty. That is fantastic. As far as cons, this may not be an issue for a lot of you, but that slide release is very stiff, and I do use it as a slide release. And then not having an option without a trigger. Again, most people who this gun is for, they're probably going to want a safety. I'm sorry, not having a gun available without a safety. So most people who are buying this for a first-time pistol are going to want that safety on there. I get it. Me personally, I do not want a safety on there. So I kind of wish they made one model with a safety and then another model without a safety. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about uses. The main use for this is going to be concealed carry. I think 99% of the people who buy this is a concealed carry type gun. You could easily use it for home defense if you wanted to. Wouldn't be a problem. It's nice that you can throw in those bigger magazines or carry that bigger magazine from the G3 pistol if you need a few extra rounds. And you could do some other things with it, but concealed carry is going to be the main use. So I'm not giving up my VP9 SK or my SIG P320 as my compact carry options. Those are still my babies. But I must say overall, Taurus did a very good job continuing to improve and make their pistols better and better. If I had a friend or a family member who said, look, I want a gun, I don't want to spend a lot of money, what do you think of the Taurus G3C? I'd say go for it. If you're looking at the under $300 price point, I'd have no problem with like my dad or a friend, a close friend of someone carrying a pistol like this. If they didn't or couldn't spend more money on a nicer pistol, go for it. They seem to be really solid. Now before you guys go, let me also thank Taurus for sending this out. Very nice of them. I'm going to get it all cleaned up here and then ship it back to them. Let me also thank you guys for watching because it is greatly appreciated. If you are looking to support the channel, the absolute best way to support the channel is to support me on Patreon. If you are not willing and able to support me on Patreon, no big deal. Just please keep the likes and the comments coming because they really help me out. Now, if you want to see what reviews I have coming out next, please consider clicking the subscribe button and enabling the bell notifications. This way you will hopefully get notified when I come out with a new video. If you want to know what those videos are in real time, like what I'm working on right now this second, consider following me on Instagram and on Facebook. The links to both of those are down in the video description. One last time, let me say thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.